Gear Seekers, I'm Nick. It's time to check out another B550 board. This time it is Gigabyte's turn again. We've done a couple of their boards now. This is the third one actually from memory. We're checking out the B550I AORUS Pro AX. It's a little ITX board. It packs a bit of a punch for its size, but as usual, ladies and gents, like I say in all these videos, it's not a review. So yeah, let's roll that intro. Like I say with all these videos aren't reviews, they're just overviews so you can see what comes in the box and what's physically on the motherboard with a brand new motherboard. And especially people are really interested about all these B550 boards, so we're going to do as much as we can and as much as we're allowed to show what we can before they all launch. So I'm going to stop talking. Actually, I'm going to keep talking more. And yeah, let's take a look. All right, ladies and gents, it's time to check out the B550I AORUS Pro AX. Yeah, let's pop that box open so we can take a little bit of a closer look at the motherboard. But first, what we're going to do is actually take the board out of the way so we can take a closer look at all the things in the box. And first up, we've got a 12-volt RGB extension cable, which is pretty standard for these AORUS boards. There's a bunch of SATA cables or SATA cables for your 2.5-inch SSDs or your spinning rush drives. There's also this massive shark fin antenna for the built-in Wi-Fi AX or Wi-Fi 6 on this motherboard. Very nice addition here. There's also the breakout cable for the single PWM connector, which actually requires it, but there are a stack of other PWM fan connectors on the board. There's also some M.2 screws. Well, this one's specifically for the one on the back side of the motherboard, which is a nice little addition. Here's this circular plastic device that, yeah, we just don't need anymore in 2020. Someone tried to say the other day that, oh, you would need this if your USB wasn't working. If your USB isn't working, you wouldn't be able to use your mouse and keyboard, and if it wasn't working, you'd have much bigger problems than this spinning disc. There's also this little guy here. This people keep mistaking this for a guitar pick, but it's a sticker that gives you 4 billion frames per second at 8K. There's also this little manual here. Now, this user guide is excellent for first-time builders. It basically tells you everything in the BIOS, where everything is in the board, and basically just everything about the board. So use this if you're a first-time builder. All right, let's unsheath the motherboard so we can take a little bit of a close look at the B550I AORUS Pro AX. Look at it. It's absolutely tiny, but it's very mighty. There's a PWM fan connector and the front panel USB 2.0 connector. There's a 4-pin RGB header, a USB 3.2 header, 4 SATA connectors for your 2.5-inch SSD, so your spinning rush drives. There's the front panel connector for all of your lights and switches and stuff to turn on your PC, and a 24-pin power connector to send juice to that brand new B550i Pro AX. There's a single 8-pin EPS power connector for the CPU power and a single PWM fan connector, usually used for the back side of your case. There's a single by 16 PCIe slot. This is used for the GPU in most cases, and it is PCIe Gen 4. There's also a PCIe Gen 4 M.2 slot, which you're going to take a look at a little bit later. There's also the front panel audio connector right here. There's a TPM header and that PWM breakout connector for the additional PWM fan connector. The board features an 8-phase VRM setup with 90 amp power stages, pretty beefy VRM. This is similar to the Z490i board that AORUS released a couple weeks ago now. And yeah, it's got a heat pipe that connects it all together for both the heatsink for the chipset and the VRM heatsink. And this is the M.2 heatsink, which actually also cools the chipset with that connected heat pipe. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to take that all apart so we can take a bit of a closer look at it and show you how the M.2 goes in and all of that jazz, and how the heat pipe actually cools the chipset as well. So as you can see here, the heat pipe actually connects to this other little heatsink that is sitting on top of the chipset, and the M.2 drive can go on top of that. And yeah, it's a pretty elegant solution. And there's also an additional 5-volt 3-pin RGB header on the end of the M.2 slot if you look very, very closely. Now, if we flip the board over, it does have a full cover backplate. It also has the backplate for the CPU socket and the cooler mounting. And there's an additional M.2 slot on the back, which is only PCIe Gen 3. And they did this because there's no heatsink that could be mounted. It's also a standard AM4 socket that supports Ryzen 3000 and above CPUs. It does not support the 3200G and the 3400G, and it's got standard AM4 cooler mounting right out of the gate. There's also 2 DDR4 RAM slots which support up to 64 gigs of memory at 5300 megahertz overclocked. There's some DisplayPort. There's 2 HDMI 2.0 ports. There's some USB 3.2 ports. There's yeah, there's not that much connectivity, but remember, this is a B550 ITX board. Unlike a Z490 or an X570 board, it has less connectivity. It also has 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, USB 3.2 Type-C, the Wi-Fi AX antenna connectors for the Wi-Fi 6 or the Wi-Fi AX, and some regular old stereo output and input for the audio interface, and that integrated I/O shield. It's a very elegant solution. But what we need to do next is visit our friends over at Peel Corp and see how they're doing today, and we just get that plastic off to, yeah, really let them know that we are thinking of them every single day of the week. And once we're done with that, ladies and gents, it's time. It's time for the B-roll. Let's take a closer look at the board. Let's go. Ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the first look at this brand new B550 board, the B550I AORUS Pro AX from Gigabyte. I like it, it's pretty small. Now already I know there's going to be people who make comments like, oh, it doesn't have any USB Type-C header and all of that stuff. Guys, it looks like Gigabyte's not doing that with any of their B550 boards, and there's actually an interesting reason to it, because the way that B550 works, it actually allows for less USB than any other chipsets. Now, other board vendors may actually put secondary USB controllers on the motherboards for them, which is all well and good, but I suspect Gigabyte is not going for that approach with their B550 boards, because we did see it on the ASRock board with the USB Type-C, we saw it on the MSI board as well with USB Type-C, but I mean, it does have USB Type-C ports, obviously, but the actual headers, it's no dice. And as far as pricing is concerned, we kind of have an idea as of yesterday about pricing on these boards a little bit more. This one is probably looking at about 180 USD. That's basically what I've seen. Pricing, I don't know, whatever. Like it's ITX at the end of the day as well as it being B550. I know people are going to complain about that anyway. A lot of the time, like I've said, people actually don't know what they're complaining about. But as far as an ITX board being 180 US dollars, that's pretty normal. The ITX tax is a real thing, ladies and gents, and even with other B450 boards, they were still kind of expensive. Like the ROG one was kind of expensive. This is about, I think this is looking to be about 30 or 40 US dollars more than the B450 counterpart of this board. But yeah, I mean, it's ITX, so it honestly doesn't surprise me that it's gonna just, the price get jacked up. Every ITX thing's expensive. Cases, power supplies, just everything small just costs more money, and that's the bottom line. But overall, I think it's okay. It's all right. It's good. I've got some interesting build ideas with this board, but the one thing that I thought was maybe a little bit overkill that they probably didn't have to do was go with 90 amp power stages. But you know, that's just my opinion. But yeah, it's not a review. This is just me having a little bit of a chat about the board. But the design's nice. It does have the backplate like the Z490 board, and basically, from the outset, this looks like the Z490 version, well, the board that AORUS put out for Z490 with an AM4 socket on it. So it, yeah, it's almost exactly the same as the Z490 AORUS Pro AX. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this first look at the board. We've got more B550 content coming. I might hold off on it for another few days. Let's just do some other stuff. You guys don't want to see motherboard videos all the time. Let's do some other stuff. And we'll come back to B550 when we get some more boards. We have some more boards arriving tomorrow, so you know, chances are I'll probably just end up doing more B550 videos anyway. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked it. I hope you liked the music you heard here, because if you want to know what it is, I make all the music. And if you want to get early access to videos like this, we're also on Floatplane. If you like the video, thumbs up, subscribe, do all that stuff, bell icon, dislike it twice if you really dislike it. Yeah, cool. I'm your boy Nick with Gear Seekers. You peak, we seek. And now that we actually have more of an idea about B550 pricing, again, I'm just going to say this, B550, the chipset itself is budget. It's not supposed to be like a complete budget platform. It's just the chipset that's budget. And I suspect that they're, like I said, in like the first few B550 videos, they're looking into a new market segment. And I think what it's doing is actually gearing more towards Ryzen 4000. That's why it's come so late in the game. And there's also been a few comments with people saying stuff like, oh, you know, like this was supposed to come out a year ago. I don't remember a single time where they said that this chipset was coming anytime soon. So yeah, those are the breaks, and I'm done. I'll see you guys later. Peace. Is that how I usually finish the video? You know what? This is gonna be the hidden part of the video that like we hide at the end bit. Man, the food that you're cooking right now smells really good. That's why I rushed this part of the video, because it just smells so good and I just want to eat. Claire is like the ultimate chef. I'm a chunky boy because Claire's really good at cooking.
Don't blame me.
It's kind of your fault. Dad, come on, you like feeding me.
I do.
Yeah, it's because I can't run away.
Yeah.
Yeah.